Hey everybody, it's Fox with FoxeoGames, and this is a Fox first scent of Drive Girls for the PlayStation Vita. Also compatible with the PSTV, as you're seeing it here. That's how I captured this gameplay footage. Well, this is the Japanese version of the game. I do believe it is either out in Europe now or just about to be. So if you want to grab the English version, I'm pretty sure that one's in English. So you can actually get games from other PlayStation Network stores. You just have to create an account for that store and then be logged into that account when you actually play that game, even if it's just a demo. Well, it's not hard to see that Drive Girls is pretty typical for a lot of these handheld games, particularly on the Vita, where it involves some pretty simple hack-and-slash action gameplay. And the real drive here to play the game, get it? The real drive for Drive Girls. Anyway, the real reason to play this game is that the girls can actually morph into cars. And you can use the cars to travel as well as to conduct combat. And then you can customize the girls, their armor, and all that good stuff, as well as the cars themselves. And the customizations you apply actually also affect your attack and defense. I'm experimenting here with the controls, so just be aware this was the first time I played the game in my entire life. I captured my absolute first gameplay moments and was experimenting with the controls. And that is where one of my big complaints is, because as you'll see here, controlling the car is a bit difficult, to say the least. I found it very difficult to just maneuver. If you run into something with the car, it takes a moment to back up, and it's not very intuitive. You don't just hold back. I think you hold the left trigger button or shoulder button. And I found it took way too long to try to get backed up and turned around. So it was pretty disappointing that having bought the game, being somewhat excited for the whole morph into a car mechanic and driving around, that so far there doesn't really seem to be much of a racing element in the levels and the missions that I've played. I've only played about 45 minutes in. And the car can be exceedingly difficult to control. You're ranked after the mission, which is pretty common in a lot of these games. It is not an open world. You do essentially progress from one mission to the next, which you select. So it's that mission select format, which in many ways is ideal for a handheld game. This is where you can see some of the customization here. You can switch between different sets. The one is like, I guess it's called the crowbar set. I think that's what that Japanese is referring to, as well as the fire set. It took me a while to figure out what the change was here. I didn't notice much of anything other than the change of the little like sticker tattoo on the girl's face. But if you switch to the car, you can see the difference on the car. So some of the changes you make are more pronounced when you look at the design on the car versus the design on the girl herself. Well, unfortunately, I did not find an option to reduce the amount of chatter going on during combat. That is one of my biggest complaints about these very niche Japanese titles, is that the girls speak in very high-pitched tones, which, even after living in Japan for a few years, I still find that kind of distracting and annoying that virtually every single time I do anything in the game, the girl makes some noise, and it's in that kind of high-pitched, shrill voice, and it repeats over and over and over again. And I noticed that nearly every time I hit the dodge button, she said the same word over and over again every single time. So certainly it is not necessary to have the character to talk that much during combat. I understand if maybe she makes occasional comments, but I would appreciate an option to reduce that. Unfortunately, there is no such option. So that's something you have to live with. There are some frame rate issues as well, unfortunately. When there's a lot of action on the screen, it does appear to slow down quite a bit. I mentioned that the car is hard to control. That's something I did want to emphasize. So if you're really excited about the car combat element to it, I really don't think they thought that one through well enough. They really need to fine-tune and change the controls for the vehicle segments of the game, for sure. The camera is a bit finicky, as it usually is in games like this. I don't know why, excuse me, but a lot of Vita games, for some reason, the camera can be, like, see right there? I always end up getting stuck against a wall, and it takes a while to get out from it. Maybe I'm just not used to it. But yeah, the cameras in a lot of these Vita games just don't seem to be designed very well. They seem to, like, jitter and jump all over the place no matter what speed you pick for them. They're either way too slow or way too fast and hard to control. That's a standard thing here. It's pretty standard for your third-person action hack and slash type game, you know, a Dynasty Warriors type where you're just killing lots and lots of different enemies. The combat is somewhat fun and hectic, so I'm not complaining there. The graphics are pretty solid as well. So if you like customizing the girls and the cars, that's one big feature of the game. What do you guys think of Drive Girls? Let me know in the comment section below. I'm Fox with FoxeoGames, and I'll see you guys next time.